All right, guys, we are back with another episode of Real Talk. Jeff here. Brad, how are you, sir?
Undefeated, 1-0. Or what are we talking here? You don't think I'm feeling great? Steelers
you
are on
know,
fire out the gate. Let's go.
I love that there was a football game last night. Um, it felt good to have football back. It always feels good. It felt great that two of the top four, easily top four NFL fan bases were in one stadium last night, and it just felt like an authentic football game. It didn't feel like a normal preseason game. Obviously, it became that, but for a minute, it felt pretty good. And yeah, we're obviously talking more football today, and big news out of this division too that we'll get to here momentarily. But yeah, Steelers 1-0, and I mean, gonna reset here in 2 weeks, but
And also, guys, we're going to add a little something new to the rest of these division breakdowns. We are going to go by position groups, and we're going to do a little back and forth draft to try and get a relative top 16. Some will be arguable, some may be definitive to some people, but we just thought it'd be another fun thing to do with the NFL Top 100 coming out here soon. And, the Madden ratings, and everybody likes lists, so it should be fun.
yeah, we'll do those at the end of the breakdown. And the one thing that we do is we do draft style. We've done this for the NBA. We've done this in mock drafts. Obviously, we enjoy the draft style between Brad and I because it does one thing typically. It takes out bias from one person. Because obviously one person is able to correct a mistake that maybe the other person made. Quotations if you're on YouTube watching us here. But yeah, I mean, we're excited for it. We already got into a little hot debate right before we started. We won't
Crazy.
go into it. We'll get right into the AFC East, the best division in football. Here we Here we go. We're gonna start off with, as I said, the best division of football, the worst team in the league last year, in my opinion. They just happened to get bailed out late in the year, but it's the New York Jets. Um, they were 2-14 last year. They started 0-6 in the division. They fired Adam Gase and they hired Robert Saleh. Um, you have a fun little quote about Adam Gase, and I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot here. Do you remember
Oh,
it?
I don't.
Okay, it's about the analyst about the Pee Wee football. I always forget it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He said, I have the privilege of having a nephew who's in Pee Wee football, and I wouldn't want Adam Gase to coach that team. I don't remember who said it. Gosh, I don't remember who
It
said
doesn't
it, but
even
it was,
matter.
I
It
was
doesn't even
laughing so
matter.
hard when that happened.
I love that because honestly, Adam Gase has lived off the coattails of coaching Peyton Manning. Not even coaching; he was the offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning, I
And
should say.
Peyton Manning was the offensive coordinator. He
Yes,
just had a clipboard.
yeah, you hold the clipboard. But the Jets did do a lot of things offensively this offseason. It is worthy to talk about. They went out and got Corey Davis from the Tennessee Titans, the former first round wide receiver. I think he was definitely a top 10 pick, I think.
He was number
Um,
5, I think, out of Western Michigan.
yeah,
He was like the fifth
yeah.
overall.
Big, tall, physical receiver. He hasn't lived up to the number 5 pick, but he's been a good player. We're not disparaging him by any
He
means.
got
If he
better
can
when they
money.
went from Mariota to Tannehill. His numbers picked up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They drafted Zach Wilson, number 2 overall, and they pretty much did that months in advance. It was really never, yeah, obviously no selections made, but there was never really any other quarterback slotted in there. It was Trevor's going to the Jags, and then you got the Jets are taking Zach Wilson. So out of BYU, they're really excited about him. But then they do a move. I don't remember where their original pick was. I'm sorry I don't have the details here, but they trade back up and they draft Elijah Vera Tucker, the guard out of USC. We both loved that move. We thought that was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, well, the last note I have on them we'll get to in a little bit. What did you have on the Jets?
Well, so yeah, the Jets, they also added Keelan Cole, who had a good year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. A low key pickup. They grabbed Tevin Coleman at running back, and then draft Michael Carter in the second round. They draft Elijah Moore. So I have some interesting statistics here, both offense and defense, and how bad they were. Um, they had 11 games where they allowed 25 or more points, and 9 games where they allowed 30 or more. And then on the offensive side, They had 12 games where they scored 25 or less points and 7 games with 10 or less points. So they were terrible on offense and they were terrible on defense. Now, most of their acquisitions and draft picks were offensive. LaMarcus Joyner, who had good time with the Rams and 2 like down years with the Raiders, he comes over. They get CJ Mosley back, but it looks like Robert Saleh, with his defensive coordinator background, said, I will use my coaching to enhance the defense, and we will use our resources to acquire better offensive talent. Zach Wilson, when they got Becton last year, they got Vera Tucker this year. And looking at their wide receiver core, Jameis Crowder, Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Keenan Cole. They run 5 deep of guys who could potentially. There's a lot of 2s on this roster all over the place. Jamison Crowder's done very well for them. So I still think this is going to be a bad football team. I still think they have a ways to go with a new head coach. But man, they didn't try and do too much at one time. They said we're gonna do everything we can to get the offense first. And I think they acquired a lot of nice pieces that will make the Jets, even if they're bad record-wise, a good watch on a Thursday night or a Sunday game.
Completely agree with you on a lot of things you just said there. And the one thing that I'm glad you brought it up, Mekhi Becton, gosh, there was a lot of offensive linemen taken last year in the draft, and there was even some later in the draft, and there was a lot of good offensive line play last year, but he was probably the best one.
He was,
and nobody talks about it because the Jets were freaking atrocious. I said they were the worst team in the league. Obviously, Jacksonville won week 1 and then never won again. And then the Jets didn't win a game until I believe week 13 or 14, and they won 2 in a row or some crazy.
I think it was later than that. I think it was 15 and 16, and then they lost the last game of the year.
Like literally, they screwed up getting Trevor Lawrence, but it is what it is. This team has a lot of pieces. I mean, there's a lot of things you said. The fact that they have so many 2s, Corey Davis included. I mean, he's probably a very good 2, but he was a 2 even last year to A.J. Brown. So it's interesting when you have a bunch of 2s. I mean, New England's kind of done that forever. You know, they've never really had a number 1 guy except for Moss years back, but they mostly run with a bunch of 2s or even some 3s. So if you can make that work, it can be done. I'm excited to see what their running game is going to look like. I believe Frank Gore is even coming back for another year.
I think he's coming back for another year, but I don't think the Jets have committed to him. I think he can still sign with any team right now.
Okay.
But I think he does want to play another year, but he might be waiting for a team to get injuries and pick him up, or maybe the Jets will. But I think he wants to play, but I don't think he's on a roster currently.
Obviously, the biggest move this team made was moving off of Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers. And time will tell if Zach Wilson's the new guy. I don't ever believe, and I think you probably agree here, I don't think Sam Darnold ever got a fair shake on this team. They had bad offensive lines forever, and they never had. Adam Gase obviously was a problem, and they never really had any weapons.
COVID year, then he gets mono a different year, and then it's his rookie year. He never really did get a fair shake.
Yeah. But here we go into their first 5, unless you have something else to add.
No, I was just going to transition with, it's funny enough, they play Sam Darnold week 1.
Great transition. So
really want to watch
week 1, they're at Carolina, so Sam Darnold gets to host his old team. And I don't know when this game is played, but it is a fun, like, if your team's not playing, it's a fun watch to flip over and just see how it is. So it's a 1:00 game on Sunday. I have Carolina winning that game, and simply for the fact that they're just way better than the Jets right now. I'm not saying the Jets can't maybe catch them at the end of the year, but right now they're light years ahead of them, I think.
I have it as a loss.
Yeah. Week 2 at home against the Patriots, I think this is also lost. The Jets went 0-6 in the division, and as of right now, they haven't quite closed that gap. I think it's a loss.
Loss.
Yeah. Week 3 at Denver. I'm not high on Denver this year, but they are a million times better than the Jets. That's also a loss.
Loss.
Week 4, they are home against the Titans. A lot of people have the Titans taking a step back. It won't matter. Titans roll.
Loss. Poor Jets.
Week 5, home against the Falcons. The Falcons can struggle in outdoor games. Go ahead. You wanted to say something?
I'm not 100% sure, but this game says at 9:30 a.m., so I believe this is a London game.
The Titans.
No, the Falcons. The Jets are listed as the home team, but I think this is a London game because it's at 9:30 in the morning and it's on NFL
Yes.
Network.
Thank you for pointing that out. So we have a London game here, the Jets and the Falcons in London. That is important to note because I was just about to put the Falcons in New York, but they're not going to be in New York. They're going to be in London. Doesn't matter regardless. Falcons roll.
I like the Jets.
You like the Jets to beat the Falcons
I
here.
think the Jets can outscore the Falcons. I think it's a weak defense. I think it's the first game where Zach Wilson doesn't have a ton of pressure in his face, and I think he can sling the ball in this game. I don't ever like to predict the team 0-5 either. But at the same time, in London, they're already 0-4. Maybe they're already starting to get desperate, going for it on fourth downs, doing different things. I don't want to predict the play-by-play or nothing, but I think this is a winnable game for the Jets. And if they're going to win a game in their first 5, I think it's the Falcons. But the Falcons could absolutely win this game too.
Winnable, certainly. But I think that is a tall ask. These teams here, Carolina, New England, Denver, Titans, Falcons, I have all of them with minimum 7 wins. The Jets I have with maybe 2 again.
They beat the Rams and Browns late last year, and they can do it.
Yeah.
I know there were certain reasons in different games, and it's never a confident feeling going into a game saying, "Hey, the Jets are going to win." But yeah. I like to see them win here.
That's
but
fine. Yeah. 1-4, I have them going into their Week 6 bye week at 0-5. You have them going into their Week 6 bye week at 1-4. I do have an important note here. I believe the 2 worst teams in the NFL this year are the Jets. Still, they have a little bit of work to do. They won't be terrible. They'll be undisciplined with rookies everywhere in new players and stuff. And obviously, Robert Sala's got some work to do with that. They play with the Texans Week 12, and I have the Texans as the worst team in the league. But with Deshaun Watson, it's hard to say. They just honestly have no talent. They play Week 12. Who knows? Maybe those teams are fighting for their first win on the year. That's why I put that there. Do I think that they're going 0-11? Probably not, but put it in there regardless.
Yeah.
Moving on. This team finished 3rd in the division. Man, that's humbling. So we got the New England Patriots here, 7-9 last year. There's a lot of news and notes. I only put down a few things. We can get into so much things with this team because this is honestly one of the more interesting teams from last year to this year, in my opinion. Not even just biased. This team spent the most money in free agency this offseason, more than anybody had spent in like 15 years. They drafted Mac Jones in the first round. They got a ton of opt-outs back from last year from COVID, but some of those players decided to actually just stay opt-out or /retire. One of the big bring back though is Dante Hightower, and then bringing back Kyle Van Noy, former captain from the Miami Dolphins, back to the defense. One thing you can't dispute about this team, it has a top 5 offensive line. It was definitely top 5 last year, and they upgraded. And the weakest position on this team for the last 2018, 2019, 2020 has been the tight end position since Gronk retired, and they brought in 2 of the top 10. We'll just throw 10 out there as a number. They brought in 2 top 10 tight ends. Hard for me to say. It's very intriguing where this team can be at. They mustered up 7 wins last year, and I'm really not sure how. But Cam Newton has been stated multiple times from Bill Belichick's mouth that he's a starter. So I'm interested to see where this team can be. What do you have on the Patriots?
Well, what I have on the Patriots is, they still have J.C. Jackson. They get a healthy Stephon Gilmore. They have Devin McCourty, Dante Hightower, Kyle Van Noy. They draft a defensive tackle and a defensive end with 2 of their first 3 picks. They bring back Van Noy, I mentioned. This defense, I think, is going to revert what they were the year before COVID. I think this is going to be a defense that will be a top 5 defense again. But what I went through with Cam, because it was first year without Brady last year, obviously, I kind of did that again. And I went through their 17 games. And even with Cam Newton, I think there's only 7 games that they can't argue that they don't have the best quarterback in the game. Like, they have 10 games where even with Cam Newton, I feel they're going to have the better quarterback, or it's debatable. And two of those quarterbacks that I think are better in Herbert and Tannehill, I believe playing a good defense by Bill Belichick and having, Tannehill, the Titans have a weak defense. I think those are winnable games too. But you look at the Texans, well, they have Watson. You look at the Colts, who's their starter? Trevor Lawrence, rookie against Bill Belichick. Jameis Winston, Sam Darnold, who they've owned. Tua twice. Zach Wilson twice. Will the Cowboys have Dak? So, with his injuries that are going on right now. So I just looked at the quarterbacks and I was like, this team is going to have equal play at quarterback, if not be better. And their defense is going to favor them a lot. The Patriots should be, I believe, around a 9 or 10 win team, and they could be better than that. But I don't think they'll be worse. I think this is a 9 or 10 win team. And this is a team in the last 2 or 3 weeks we're talking about, will they make the playoffs? With the Bills in division, I don't think they can win the division. We'll see what happens. I think the Bills are one of the top tier teams, but they are certainly a dangerous wild card team if they were to get in the playoffs. But that's how I look at it. And just because I mentioned the other ones, the quarterbacks they play, I believe, are better than Cam. Tannehill, Justin Herbert, Matt Ryan, Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady, and Josh Allen twice. I don't think that's crazy to say they're playing better than Cam. But again, the rest of them, Cam was playing real good before he got sick and hurt last year. They almost beat the Seahawks. They were winning some early games. I don't know. Bill Belichick, Cam Newton's second year in the offense, more tight ends. I think Damian Harris is at the running back. I think he's primed for a big year. So, if anybody's listening,
I think they're going to use a mixture of backs like always, obviously.
Yeah. But I like the Patriots better than I did last year. I was kind of hard on them last year. And, 7-9 isn't the best, but I think they'll be an improved team.
I don't have their schedule in front of me. I thought I do have it, actually. So
I just think them drawing the NFC South and AFC South, it's a lot of weak quarterback play outside of Brady and Tannehill.
Yeah, we argued about, and I wouldn't say we argued, but we funnily debated recently about where I had the Patriots.
Brief text, yeah.
Yeah, where I had the Patriots versus where you had the Patriots, and you laughed at where I had them, but we weren't far off. You said they were 9 or 10, and I put them. I think I said
12. You said 12 and 5.
I've been saying 12, but I almost feel like I've basically said like they will. I put a guarantee on it. They will win 12 games this year. I've pretty much guaranteed it, and I'm struggling, and even in a non-biased role, I picked them to lose a few different times last year. I can be unbiased when it comes to them without Tom Brady right now. If they have Tom Brady, I'm picking them to win every single game, period, bar none. I always did. I can be unbiased a little bit now. I'm struggling to find losses, though. Miami. We split with them last year. We're better today than we were last year, and I think they're worse than they were last year. It'll be interesting to see where the quarterback play is. I do expect it to be better, but how much better? I think we're better than Miami. I think we're better than the Jets. I think we're better than the Saints. Saints are a good defensive team, but we don't know a lot about the Saints right now. They could be one of those.
Drew Brees in week 3. They might not have Michael Thomas against you guys. He's already out week 1.
Okay. We're not even saying wins or losses here, but we're getting there. Week 4 against Tom Brady and the Bucs. Normally, I would say that's an L. But Tom Brady coming back in Gillette Stadium, I would bet my bottom dollar Bill Belichick has the best possible game plan ready to go for him. It's hard for me to predict that as an L. I understand Tampa's better. I'm not even arguing Tampa's not better. But in a certain game situation, okay? At the Texans, come on. Cowboys is a flip game. That's a flip game. Jets, we're better. The Chargers, we beat them 40-0 last year. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but I think we're better. Carolina, I think we're better. Browns probably beat us. But could see it as a flip game. I don't love Baker, obviously.
You get him at home.
Tennessee. Who knows? I like Tennessee. A lot of people are down on Tennessee. The Bills are better than us, but I think we can get them once at some point this year, depending on how good we're playing. The Colts, I thought were better than us. Today, they're not. Will they be in December? Maybe. The Bills, again, obviously I said they're better. Jacksonville, I think we're better. Miami, I think we're better. If we're not as good as I think we are, we're still going to beat 12 of these teams. I think it's hard for me to find losses.
It's so when people think of the Patriots, they think of kind of how bad they kind of looked, But again, they had a first place schedule with Cam Newton, people dropping out, a lot of injuries. This year, they have a third seed schedule on a team that's coming up. Their quarterback play will be better. They have more offensive weapons. Their defense is healthier, and their front seven gets basically their two captains back that they didn't have last year. The defense should be a top 3 to 5 defense, if not potentially number one, and their offense will be improved. So this team theoretically should win double-digit games because not only third place schedule, the two whole divisions they drew have again weak quarterback play. Saints, Panthers, and well, not Falcons, but Saints and Panthers. And then the AFC South, you have a rookie. Deshaun Watson's probably not playing, and who knows who's quarterback in the Colts. And a lot of you would even say, well, even if it is Carson Wentz, do we know what he's going to be? So you just have a lot of games in division, and with the way the scheduling happened, it's kind of like the perfect storm for the Patriots to get in the playoffs. Once they get there, it's like, okay, you're going to have, the Titans, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Browns, the Ravens all floating around in there. Then you can say, oh, well, the Patriots, playing against the best may lose. And that may be true, but saying this team's not going to make a wild card spot at 10 to 12 wins, I think their schedule is a perfect storm for where they're at. And I think the Patriots will win 10 games. They could win 12, like you're saying, but I feel comfortable. I don't know what Vegas has the over-under for the Patriots.
I think it's 9.5.
If it's 9.5, I would take the over all day on the New England Patriots.
Yeah. Yeah, you said something before I got to it, and it's the best argument I could possibly have if you're sitting here today and saying I'm unbiased about all these teams are playing. There's 6 playoff teams on the schedule. They play 17 games. One of the playoff teams they play twice. That's it. They can beat the teams that they're playing. They're better coached than every single team they're going to play. They don't have better quarterback play, but they're in competitive quarterback situations with some of these teams. Go ahead.
They added 2 Pro Bowl caliber tight ends.
Yeah.
Their former defensive player of the year corner played hurt last year. And their best 2 players in the front 7, one was in Miami taking a little season vacation at the beach, and the other one was staying safe. All those players come back against a weaker schedule.
They're gonna,
whether you hate them because you hated Brady or you hate them or your resentment, that's fine. But if you have an open mind and you look at this, the Patriots are going to win double-digit games.
Yeah.
I'd even like them with Matt Jones. The game plan would be don't turn the ball over, and this defense can win games. And they've always had a top 3 special teams unit. I don't know what they do up there, but they've always had great special teams.
Yeah, they do. The one thing I will say, if anybody, I'll leave it on this. New England's going to have a top 5 running game. I'm not saying they're going to have a top 5 rusher. They're going to have a top 5 running game between Cam, Sony, Damian Harris, and even their rookie that they drafted out of Oklahoma. I forget his name already. They like where they're at with their running backs. Oh, and, of course, Sweet Feet James White. And they love their offensive line. This team is going to beat you up front. What?
Joe Tooney or whatever.
So, they lost Tooney. They're gonna shift Shaq Mason over, and they brought in.
Trent Brown.
Yes, thank you, Trent Brown from the Raiders. They love their offensive line. They're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
This team's going to beat you up front, and then they're going to play really good defense and take the ball away, and they're going to give Cam plenty of opportunities. This team's going to be really good. I'm super excited about this team post Tom Brady and defending my bandwagonness that I've had for 15 years now at this point. But watch out for my let's go for the first 5 games because I'm going to get to my week 4 guarantee here in a minute. So versus the Dolphins, week 1. I like this team out of the gate. I think that they can beat the Dolphins at home.
All right. Just tell me real quick. Do you have them at 5-0?
No. Wait. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I do.
Okay. I have the Patriots at 4-1. I'll just get through it real quick.
To Tampa.
Home against the Miami, at Jets, home against the Saints. We all like the Patriots in those games, and they're going to destroy the Texans. Everyone will. Week 4, we're going to differ.
That's fine.
Most people are on my side. We'll see when the game's played. I know everyone, even if your team's on, you're going to find a second TV to have the New England Patriots versus Tampa Bay game.
Football. It's Sunday Night Football.
Everybody is going to be watching this game.
It's going to pop the highest rating of the year. Yeah.
And he's got his Patriots too emotional for Brady. I'll let you have your reasons. The Bucks win, but let me know why they're not going to win.
It's a double. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a double-edged sword. If Tom Brady wins, he beats all 32 teams, and I brag about it for a year. Okay. If they lose, it's gonna feel so good because obviously he left us, and like my loyalty is to the Patriots. But I've often said that I'll root for Tom Brady until I die, and I mean that. If Tom Brady and I were playing a game of Go Fish, I would root for Tom Brady. Okay. Um, but he's playing the Patriots, and they're my. I have them over him slightly. It's close. Okay. Bill Belichick's gonna have the perfect game plan. He knows this dude.
I just want to say something real quick.
They have a secondary that goes up against their offense. I like the matchup.
I just want to say something.
Yeah.
If Tom Brady was a Patriot and Bill Belichick was on the Buccaneers, and you said Bill Belichick is going to have the perfect game plan for Tom Brady, you'd be like 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, no picks. You know you would too. Here's
the thing about this game. Most likely, if New England wins, Tom Brady has a really bad game. But do I anticipate Tom Brady having a really bad game? Absolutely not. I want to reassess come week 4, and we will on the Sunday live show, obviously. Obviously. Because after the first 3 games, if this team's as good as I think they are, then I'll back it up. But as of right now, I think they're beating the Bucs. It'll be hard to say. Obviously, we're still, 2 months out. I mean, that game's in October, I think. October 3rd. So we're literally 2 months out. It's August 5th or 6th.
Yep.
So got 2 months for that game. A lot of football to be played and a lot of things to do. So we'll move on to the Dolphins. We've spent enough time on New England here. Miami finished second in the division. They were 10-6. Number 6 in points allowed, though. This team was definitely backboned by their defense last year. But here's my problem with this team. They cut 2 of their captains, Kyle Van Noy being one. I lose the name of the other guy that they had cut. I think he was a safety. Yeah, he was definitely a safety. And then their best corner has requested a trade. He's not compensated. A couple of years back, the Dolphins spent a ton of money, and they've been in pretty good cap situation because they've had a ton of draft picks that they've acquired through the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade and as well as the Tunsil trade. They've had so many first-round picks that this team really hasn't had any cap situation. So I am down on this team, but I think they're still very well coached. And they're one of the many question marks on the NFL season that I think can only be shaken out in the field. What's your opinions on the Dolphins?
I don't know how many teams have done this, but the Dolphins had a 100-yard rusher 0 times last year. So I know that was a big reason why a lot of people were shocked that they did not take Najee Harris with their second pick in the first round. But, I like their draft. Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland, and Liam Eichenberg. So I really like their draft. I do think they lose quite a bit on defense, and that was their bread and butter. But I think I'm kind of looking at Xavier Howard, and to me, if you're on a team that's 10-6 with a great defensive head coach and you request a trade, for me, I think that tells me he doesn't believe in the quarterback. I think he doesn't believe that this team can go further. I believe he wouldn't. If it's money, they would have paid him good money for a corner. But saying he wants top money, maybe I'm looking too much into it. Maybe it is all about securing the bag. But they would have extended him with a nice contract. I don't believe in Tua, and I think Xavier Howard's request has something to do with that effect as well. What's up?
You just said something I want to make sure the listeners understand. He actually signed a contract extension, I believe, 2 years ago, like a 4-year extension. It's not the money. He has a long Twitter post. You'd have to go find it. I posted on the Real Talk page. He basically came out and said, "When I signed this deal, I did not realize what I was signing." Oh, okay. We get that. Whatever. You signed for less money than you thought you should have. Okay. Which is end up what happened. He ended up signing for less than what is it, Byron Jones?
10 interceptions. Yeah, Byron Jones.
Byron Jones is their second corner, and he basically said in the Twitter post, "I'm the best corner on the team, and I'm the second highest paid corner, and it's by a substantial margin." He wants to be pay bumped, and the fact that they haven't done this yet, it is the Miami Dolphins' fault. He's a top 5. I think Madden has him as a 6th corner in the league. I think he's top 5. and his stats show that he's top 3 over the last couple of years. Andrew Bradish, I think, put out a post, a blind resume between him and Stephon Gilmore, and his stats are better than Gilmore's over the last 2 years.
I think someone just shared something. It's like over the past 5 seasons, he has like 6 more picks than the second guy, and he missed an entire year. Like, it's crazy the amount of takeaways this guy gets. But bringing it back to the Dolphins, I like all their acquisitions. You have to look in the mirror at the Dolphins and say, do I like Tua? Because if you believe in Tua, this is a 12-win team. If you don't think Tua's good, I don't think their defense is good enough to carry a bad quarterback. We'll see on Tua. I actually had a flip pick here in the first 5 from last week, but they add Jason McCourty, Will Fuller, Malcolm Brown, power running back from the Rams. That didn't make any headlines somehow. More offensive line depth, playmaker at safety, pass rusher, fast wide receivers. I mean, they got a good core now.
You brought up Will Fuller, right?
Yeah, they got Will Fuller, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker. Yeah. They got Mike Gesicki at tight end, and then they've got Myles Gaskin and Malcolm Brown in the backfield. They're building this team well. It's all on Tua.
They have a great squad. As Colin has said multiple times, he has till Thanksgiving. That's it. If you can't get this team rolling by Thanksgiving, you're done. We're out on you. Let's go over their first 5.
Okay.
At New England week 1, we just talked about it. We both have New England winning that game. Home against the Bills week 2.
Loss
as well. Week 3 at the Las Vegas Raiders.
I gave the Raiders the win in last week's pod, but I'm giving the Dolphins the win in this week's pod. It's a 50-50 game, and after a week of thinking on it, I had to do a little bit more of a deep dive on the Dolphins. I do like their receiving core against a very, very weak secondary in the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna switch that over again after these division breakdowns. I'm gonna release my total all game pick, no overlap, every team. So I've been working on that. I'm giving the Dolphins a win week 3.
Yeah, I also had the Raiders winning last week, but I have the Dolphins winning this week.
It's a coin.
It is 100%. They're actually extremely close teams.
If you swap the quarterbacks, the Dolphins would obliterate the Raiders. If you swap quarterbacks, but that's the most important position.
And if you gave the Raiders the Dolphins defense, the Raiders would obliterate the Dolphins.
Absolutely. You could put the Raiders and Dolphins together.
Yes, they could make a Pro Bowl roster between the two of them. Week 4, home against the Colts. As of right now, I don't see how anybody can pick the Colts confidently against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I have a win for the Dolphins. Carson Wentz is down. They got Jacob Eason ain't beating the Dolphins defense.
Week 5, they don't travel far. They travel slightly north at Tampa Bay. I have Tampa beating them.
Yeah. Tampa comes home after the big win against the Patriots, slips up to the Dolphins. Dolphins beat them.
Really?
Kidding. Buccaneers beat them.
Honestly, that storyline, I could see that, especially because I do still have high hopes for Miami's defense. As of right now, Xavier Howard still said he's going to play business as normal. He's not holding out, but he's demanded a trade.
Mike Evans like 3 times.
What's that?
Mike Evans just going to dunk on him.
Mike Evans struggles against elite physical corners.
He struggles against Marshawn Lattimore, and that's it.
It is.
That dude lives in his head.
Nothing more to say on the Dolphins. I do have them starting 2-3. The Raiders game is a complete coin flip game. I think the New England game could be a coin flip game, depending on whether New England's actually as good as I think they are. And the Colts, as of right now, if they can't get healthy, I think that's an automatic win for them. So they're an interesting team because they were 10-6 last year. They're going to play an extra game. I could see them being 10-7 or even like a 9-8. It's hard to say on them.
Yeah, I don't know right now.
Yeah. Moving on to the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills 13-3 last year. They were the division champs. They were one of only 2 teams to score 500 points. Pretty nice feat. Them and the Packers were the only 2 teams to do it. And because of that, the Bills decided they wanted to pay Josh Allen. This all the money. They paid him today, right after lunch, sometime 2 o'clock. Josh Allen received a contract extension for 6 years, $258 million. But here's the kicker: 150 is guaranteed. It is the most all time for a guaranteed money, and it's
Also,
most ever in Bills history by over $90 million.
and also, just so some people know, it's a 6-year, not contract, 6-year extension. He still has 2 years left on his current deal. So this basically makes it an 8-year deal. Josh Allen is with the Bills unless traded through 2028. And yeah, I'm not mad. So it says right now 43 million a year, but since it's an extension, it'll be a little bit lower than that since it's gonna, average out over the next 8 years, not 6. But he's making a lot of money. I think it's worth it. I think he's doing well. Some people will say, well, look at his leap from year 2 to 3. And some people will say, have you heard of Stephon Diggs? The matchup works. If they pay them both, you're going to favor their offense in a lot of games. I think I said it was like through week 12 at least. They were the only team with 20 plus first downs in every game. Like they were just moving the ball all over everybody. So can't be mad at that.
If you're a Bills fan this morning, or today, this afternoon, you've got to be on cloud nine. This team hasn't re-signed a quarterback, and I don't have the statistic. It's got to be a long time.
Tyrod Taylor.
Honestly, who?
Like Tyrod Taylor, like they didn't resign him, did they?
No, they brought him in on like a 3-year deal. They let him play it out, and they let him walk. I mean,
I'm
this
trying
team
to
has
think
drafted any players
before Allen.
Dude, literally, if I had to take a stab, I truly don't know.
The Bills didn't exist to me until they got Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Like since I've watched football since 1995, it's like until recently, I never heard about the Jaguars till they had that one good season. The Bills, it was just like, well, the Bills just don't win. Like that's just what it was to me. And then now they got Josh Allen there.
They were never terrible enough to get the number 1 pick, and they didn't even get Josh Allen with the number. They got him in like the 7th or 8th or 9th pick, didn't they?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they traded up a little bit. They might have got him at 10. Either way.
They stole Josh Allen, and congratulations, Bills fans. This is big news for you guys, in my opinion. You've got to be sitting here today and just, we got our guy and we locked him up. That's what you literally want in your franchise, to go out and get a quarterback for you to determine your future and then lock them up. Obviously, you want them to deliver Super Bowl trophies as well, so we'll see if that's going to happen in time. Week 1 against your precious Steelers. They're home against the Steelers. I believe I had that as a W when we did the Steelers. I know that you kind of gave them one, but you didn't want to. Where are you sitting today?
Bills win.
Bills win. Okay, I also have the Bills winning. Week 2 at Miami, divisional game. Bills win.
Bills win.
Week 3, home against the Washington football team.
Bills win.
Win. Okay, agreeing. Week 4, against the Houston Texans.
Texans win. Bills win.
This one's going to be ugly. If Deshaun Watson can't get anything going by week 4, if he's even playing, this is going to be
week 4. I think week 4, they might just be like, hey, Josh, rest up. We're going to throw Mitch Trubisky in there this game. Don't forget, Mitch Trubisky's on this roster, by the way. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. I did see a funny meme. I'm going to bring it up just because you brought it up. But apparently Josh Allen's overall in Madden this year is 1 down than what it started with last year. He didn't actually improve. He actually went down 1. And people are joking that's because they put Mitchell Trubisky on the roster. It brought his QB rating down, like his QB knowledge. Regardless, week 5 at Kansas City. I'd have to go back and look at Kansas City's first 5. I know I had Kansas City beating them. As of right now, they have their number. But I do think this is a fun game. I'm sure it's on a big primetime game. I don't have it in front of me, but I have the Chiefs winning.
I also have the Chiefs winning, and this is Sunday night, October 10th, Bills versus Chiefs.
Sunday night game, it deserves to be.
The Bills only need to do better at one thing, and that's pass rush. And their first 2 picks were defensive ends. One, Gregory Rousseau, who, he fell to the 3rd, elite pass rusher taken 3rd or 4th when he was number 1 on a lot of people's big boards, coming into the draft. So to get him at 30, that's a nice pickup. And Carlos Basham, I think his name is, but he's out of Clemson. So, they're producing big time players.
Yeah.
And Emmanuel Sanders, don't forget about that pickup because Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley got a nice little setup going on.
So we've done this every division. So go ahead.
Just when we did the Dolphins, I said they had a 100-yard rusher 0 times. I misread my paper. They only had a 100-yard rusher once. The Bills, however, never had a 100-yard rusher. That's who it was.
And I believe Josh Allen was the leading rusher for that team, and I believe Ryan Fitzpatrick was the leading rusher. Or no, that was 2 years ago. Sorry, the Dolphins have only had 100-yard rusher though in the last like 4 seasons, 3 seasons, something crazy. So you were off far. But yeah, the Bills did not have a 100-yard rusher, and Josh Allen was their leading rusher.
Josh Allen led their team in rushing 1, 2, 3, 4 in 4 different games. He led their team in rushing.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people didn't even talk about this because Josh Allen, I think, threw 33 touchdowns last year. Do you have it in front of you? You don't? Okay. I think he threw 33 if I just pulling it out of my head. He also ran for like 5 or 6. He had a phenomenal year, and people didn't what?
He's a big boy.
Yeah, I mean, literally a great runner. That was really what put him on the map. It's really when he got Stephon Diggs and started throwing it, everyone's like, holy shit, this dude can
hurdle against the Vikings.
Yeah.
Tell you what, that's a team that could use Xavier Howard.
Absolutely, they could. Well, we've done this every week, so we're going to do it again here. Who wins the AFC East?
The Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
I think it could be closer than people think with the Patriots.
I think it will be very close, but I do have the Buffalo Bills winning it only because as of right now, they're the more for sure thing. But I do think New England is clipping at their heels come December. I think it's going to be a fun race. They do play each other December 26th. Watch out for that one. I think that this team's probably 13-4, where New England I think is 12-5.
Yeah, we've disagreed on some things, but I think what gives the Bills the edge, even if it is close, I personally think, as much as I'm high on the Patriots and everything, I think the Bills go 6-0 in division. I think that's what's going to be what makes them win the division, even if they have a good record. Because the Patriots, outside of the Bills and the Buccaneers, I think, which are 3 games I have them losing regardless, the rest are very winnable for the Patriots, I think. I think they should be favored in a lot of them. But of course, we're going to disagree on that a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close.
Yeah. So you have the Bills. I have the Bills. We both think New England is an obvious contender to them. But all right, it's draft time. Draft time. We're gonna get into. We're gonna draft basically our top quarterbacks, and here's where the idea came from. Brad and I really enjoyed drafting the top. I believe we did 30 players.
It was like 30 or 35 or something.
In the NBA. And we went back and forth by creating our top, ask
By the way, for our listeners weekly, I stand by that Luka at number 4. I stand by that.
It's looking better by the day.
Stand by that.
It's looking better by the day. But we wanted to do it here because we disagreed with a lot of the Madden ratings that are coming out. I think a lot of times they're just too biased to previous things or whatever. And yeah, so here we go. Who wants to start?
You
want me to start?
You can say Mahomes, or you want me to say Mahomes?
I'll take the honors.
All right.
Because I think you'll do the right thing with 2, but I'm not sure. But I'll do it regardless. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes, and here's what we're going with. By the way, we're not doing 10 years, whatever. We're taking today, 1 game. Here we go. Season, whatever you want to call it. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback
in the season. These are the rankings of the quarterbacks.
Yep.
Number 2 is obviously Big Ben. I mean, the way he's it's Brady. Brady's number 2.
2 guys that match up in the Super Bowl, obviously.
And the only people turning it off right now are Packers fans. Sorry, that's 1 and 2.
And you know what? The reigning MVP deserves to be number 3, and he is. Aaron Rodgers is number 3 here. Okay, so right now, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and who's number 4?
I think 1 through 4 are not changeable. I have Russell Wilson as my number 4.
A lot of you are listening right now, and you're saying, Brad, Jeff, you guys all year said Russell Wilson was the best quarterback in the league. Russell Wilson is very good.
So good.
And we love him. He's a friend of the pod. He listens weekly, shoots us text here and there.
Out of those 4 guys we just labeled, Wilson has by far the worst offensive line of these 4 quarterbacks. It's not good. And he still puts up the same style numbers.
And I've argued this with people last year when this came up on the Real Talk Facebook page, who has the best weapons in the entire league? And a lot of people said Tampa. I actually was on record saying it was Seattle. I actually really like Seattle's weapons, and I still think they have the best 2 receivers. If we're just going 2, they have the best. I really like what Seattle has, and regardless, we love Russ. But right now he's 4. He's behind Brady. He's behind Rodgers. He's behind Mahomes.
Yeah.
I'm coming in at number 5 here. I'm going to go something crazy. Cam Newton. I'm just joking. It's Josh Allen. It's AFC East quarterback here. Josh Allen at 5.
Yeah, number 6. I know we're looking at their record and the shambles and the allegations and stuff, but when he's on the field, Deshaun Watson is the 6th best quarterback right now in the NFL. And yep. I struggled hard. I think right now, if you were to ask me, I think I may take Deshaun Watson over Josh Allen. But I think Deshaun Watson, think the world of Deshaun Watson as a player. We'll see what.
We're not getting into politicals here. We only talk about football. That's what we do on this pod. If you guys are first time listeners, we only talk football. Could care less about anything else. Same with the NBA. We don't care about your political views. We're here to talk sports. That's what
Earth is flat. We're not worried about it.
This is where me and Brad started to argue because, in my opinion, there's 6 top quarterbacks in this league, and then there's a slight break off, and there's room for argument from 7 to about 12. I think there's a lot of guys that fit this mold. And if Brad was drafting here, I think I know who he would pick, but I'm going to take this guy, and I feel fine with this. I've seen enough after 1 year that I'm okay with putting him here. I think it's Justin Herbert. I think he's the 7th best quarterback in the league. And I think he will prove that. And this isn't me just foreshadowing. I think he is right now, and I think he will prove that this year.
I would just like to let people know, I took probably an hour today and made 3 different lists. I had to throw papers away and redo it. I have Herbert as my 8. So I'm not baffled by that. But we could not disagree more on Lamar Jackson. We honestly had to just stop the debate so that we could go in a good mood to the division breakdowns. I understand the inability to throw, some people may say. I would argue that he hasn't really had a great receiving core. That's not what the team's built through.
And we agreed on that. We did agree on that.
And Lamar Jackson is finally getting his players in the wide receiver. You're gonna have Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, blah blah blah. But anyway, I just think although his throwing may lack, what he does well, he does so much better, and he's so much different, and at times unstoppable. Lamar Jackson can't drop any further than 8. But I could understand people's pushback on throwing ability. But he is an NFL MVP. He wins a ton of games. Got the monkey off his back winning a playoff game. But moving on.
And this is where Brad and I started to get into disagreements because I think I probably have him at 10 or 11. And there's a couple guys I would take in front of him. This next guy, I'm between 2 here, and I'm interested to see if.
Wait, can I guess?
Brad, go ahead.
Is it between Dak and Kyler?
It is.
Okay, I have them as my next 2 as well.
Okay, it's hard to really put one above the other, but I'm gonna put this guy at 9 because I just think he's bigger and more physical. Dak Prescott. It's really hard. It's a tough one, but I put Dak there at 9. And I really like what he was doing before injury. It's hard to really. He's so good.
It came down to the injuries why I took Murray over Dak, but I'm putting Murray at number 10. But again, you could say in a vacuum, would these guys be the same? I don't know. But what I do know is I saw what Murray did with DeAndre Hopkins, and I know what Dak does with his trio of receivers. And I like both of them at the quarterback position, and I think that rounds out your top 10 in whatever order you have them in. Maybe there's a lot of Browns fans listening that are like, how's Baker not in the top 10 or Derek Carr? We'll get into these guys, but Murray number 10, who you got at 11?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, no matter what you think on a player, Lamar Jackson probably falls in this category. The stats have to then matter, no matter what. And this player has fallen far enough, even though I think there's arguments that 2 players, maybe 3, you could put ahead of him. But I'm going to have to put Matt Ryan. You just have to. I know that you think he's Kirk Cousins, and that's fine.
It's funny because I have him pretty low on my list, but
and I know you do, but that's why there's 2 of us to take out the bias. Obviously,
Ryan at 11. I'm gonna put Baker at 12. I'm gonna put Baker at 12.
Are you serious?
I'm 100% serious.
That is really tough.
Over Tannehill, over Carr, over Burrow.
Yeah, I've heard enough. That's fine. That's really tough.
It's hard to grade him with how talented the offense is around him. But the year he had last year, Baker can be 12.
Yeah, that's I know that we argued over Lamar Jackson. We're not going to get into a huge debate here, but I think that he's at best 20. So we'll just throw that out there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm being fair too, I think. Wow. The fact that you even put him over Big Ben right now is a little, and we talked about this back on the North Pod, so it's hard to really get into it. But anyways, we'll stay on this. I don't want to get too far off. I really like Joe Burrow. I want to put that out there, but I don't think he's it's harder to really put him in here. So I'm going with the more established guy. I've always said he's great. I really believe this is the year. Matthew Stafford.
I have Stafford at 17 on my list.
Wow. Okay. I think you'll pay for that one.
So we reversed Baker and Stafford. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm at 14. I'm going to put Derek Carr.
Yeah, he was going to be next for me. So
that's cool.
We agree here. This guy has, since coming to this team, Patrick Mahomes like numbers, and nobody talks about it. It's hard to put him here because of, I feel like, and I think a lot of people are like this. We get trapped into his Dolphin days, and we assume it's coming to an end. As of right now, it hasn't. Ryan Tannehill deserves to be number 15.
It's a toss-up between 2 guys here. I have Burrow and Big Ben both here about this mark. So I'm just going to put Big Burrow at 16.
So Joe Burrow and Big Ben at a 2-way tie. You got the 6-game player, and you got the 17.
Yeah, and that's it. It's because of the injury. I just wanted to see some more from Burrow. And the near misses, I only ranked 2 more guys. I got Jimmy G and Kirk Cousins outside the top 16.
I'm glad you brought up Jimmy G. I didn't know if you'd even be on your list. I have him as better than Baker, by the way. And when healthy, I think he is. I would also put Trevor Lawrence above Baker Mayfield.
I didn't want to put any rookies that I haven't seen yet. But the thing is when you say like Tannehill trapped in his Dolphin days, I mean, how many times do we get up here and just like mock at how like we thought the coaches for the Browns ate crayons? He gets Kevin Stefanski, and I mean, I get that the whole roster is good, but like,
can I have till Halloween?
Yeah, and that's fine. But
give me till Halloween.
I don't have any problem putting Baker. But again, when we set our tiers, we said, from about 7 to 15, 7 to 16, it's kind of like, what do you like? And again, Stafford at 13, I have him at 17 on my list.
Let's just say this.
I anticipate him having a better year with the Rams, but going off what I've seen,
I told you guys I thought Lamar Jackson's roughly 10 to 12. He's light years better than Baker. Like that's where I'm at. Like I agree that
I had Lamar Jackson at
I know you did.
7 on my tier 1.
I also would have put Tannehill above Baker. I would have put who else here? Stafford above Baker. Joe Burrow above Baker. Like
we agreed on the top 10. On my list, 11, 12, 13 was Baker, Carr, and Tannehill. They were kind of like all interchangeable there.
Yeah.
You're just a little higher, and I mean Matt Ryan and Stafford. I dropped down, so it kind of pushed everyone up.
And Matt Ryan is strictly stats. At the end of the day, he has a Super Bowl appearance. Say what you want. He's an MVP of this league, and he has a ton of stats.
And maybe
at what point do we have to consider that something?
And maybe just a little backstory. I've gotten to so many arguments with people 3-4 years ago when they tried to tell me Matt Ryan's better than Andrew Luck. And I think maybe that's built up some resentment towards Matt Ryan arguing with these people because everyone knows what I thought of Andrew Luck, what I still think of Andrew Luck. So, but that's our top 16. We'll run it back right here, 16-1. We got Big Burrow, Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr, Matt Stafford, Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan. Top 10, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. And our top 6 was the same on both papers. Watson, Allen, Wilson, Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes. I think that's a good list.
I think it's a great list.
Everyone can nitpick every list, but tell me you're messing with that top 6.
And we're not here to discuss Madden overalls or anything like that. This is one game, one season, whatever you want to say. Going into this season, where are these guys at? Where are we ranking them? We love the top 8 or 9, 10. We love the top 10 probably. Everybody else is needing some help.
Top 16. I think we're spoiled.
First off, we're extremely spoiled.
All the way to 17.
The Jags have Trevor Lawrence now.
Yeah, you're telling me 17 I'm stuck with Joe Burrow or Big Ben? Like, come on.
The Bengals have a quarterback. The Jaguars have a quarterback. And it's yet to be seen if the Jets do, but we're pretty sure Trevor Lawrence can play. We know Burrow can play. We know Herbert can play. A lot of teams. We just talked about Josh Allen getting a contract extension. The Bills have sucked for forever. The Lions have Jared Goff. He's not even terrible.
Yeah, I mean Sam Darnold with the Panthers may come alive. Daniel Jones. I do like Darnold there. Is littered with weapons. I mean, can he take the turnovers out of it? Year 2 with Joe Judge. It's so fun. Love the NFL. And we're almost back. I mean, Steelers, just like last year. We don't lose early. Shoot, 1-0. Come on.
You guys, I could talk with sports with Brad all day long. I could talk sports with all of you for hours and hours and hours. But that's it. That's the end of the pod. We gave you the AFC East. We gave you our top 16 quarterbacks. We're going to do a new position group next time. I'm sorry this pod came in a little bit late, but it kind of worked out because Josh Allen signed his deal today, and it worked out for the pod. So
absolutely.
We will see you guys next time. Go Patriots.
Go Steelers.